Hey guys, how are you today? I hope you guys are all good. Welcome to my preview of the 2021 Rome Masters Final. I hope you guys are going to enjoy this one, both the match and my preview. So guys, I really would feel like I really just feel like that Nadal is in a good position here. But let's just go through some of the matches leading up to this, because I haven't had a chance to make a video on, because the matches were all lumped together due to rain, so there was no time to preview the semi-finals because the quarterfinals ran into the semi-finals. So I'll go over the quarterfinals for you. I mean, Zverev Nadal, I predicted that one. I just felt like Zverev wouldn't get out of his serve what he got in Rome. Well, there's the altitude difference, but then Rome was cooler and Madrid was hotter. So there's a difference between Madrid being faster due to altitude and Rome slower due to sea level. But Rome can get faster if it's hotter and cooler if it's slower if it's cooler, rather. So yeah, there's that factor. Plus Madrid could be slower if it's cooler or hotter if it's faster. So during Madrid, we had it at its absolute fastest of the variance between hot and cold weather. We had a hot day, so Madrid was as fast as it's going to be. When they met in Rome, it was cool. So then you had the difference due to altitude, which is just like on a normal day, the same temperature in Rome and Madrid, Madrid will be faster. But then that gap of the altitude was accentuated because heat also makes a difference. So Madrid was faster, was hot, so it's as fast as it's going to be, and Rome was cool, so it's as slow as it's going to be. So then you've got the gap, with the altitude, right? Um, which is making Madrid faster and Rome slower. But then if it was Rome was hot and Madrid was cold, the gap could be closed to just a small difference. But instead, it was accentuated because Madrid's as fast as it could be because they met on a hot, dry, sunny day, and then Rome is as cool as it's going to be. So one, you got the altitude plus the heat. The other, you got sea level plus cool. Now you got a massive difference in the conditions between the two matches. The second thing is Nadal's just generally getting better. That Shapovalov, the way he pushed him, really got Nadal to a level that he had to fight and play at an extreme level to win, be under all these pressure moments. And when someone throws everything you have, they have at you, an amazing game, and you survive and you win, that's great experience to get better for the future, because you're being forced to constantly come up with tough shots, constantly under pressure all the time, and you just have to keep coming up with it and playing at that high level and fighting for all these pressure moments. And in the pressure moments, why someone's playing amazing, asking you to come up with an amazing thing. Nadal does that. So now it's like who can show a higher level than what Shapovalov did? Not many people. And then Nadal's grown, so he's going to get even better. So even if you can play at the level of Shapovalov, even then it's still difficult. So there's that, and that helped Nadal really reach his top level. Then there's the fact that it's not altitude and it's not a hot day; it's a cool day at sea level and massively different conditions. Nadal at a way higher level, and then because of the conditions, when Zverev's serving the ball, before he was getting 3 points a lot, and then getting short balls, or if he just control the rally, the 3 points dried up, most of the short balls dried up, and he had to fight with deep balls into long rallies with his serve not really drawing any kind of an advantage. Um, so now he's just battling in rallies to hold serve. And then to end the rally, to get the ball through the court, through Nadal's defense, it's difficult because it's slower. And then to get the ball through the court so Nadal doesn't have time to set up and hit forehands and dominate the rally with the forehand, it's also difficult because it's going through slower. So Nadal has more time to set up forehands and get in that pattern we know, where he hits 2-3 forehands. So all that meant that Zverev wasn't getting enough out of his serve. When he tried to attack and shorten the point, the slower of the court and the amazing level of Nadal's defense stopped him really using that tactic. And it wasn't even getting through the court enough of the time where it was getting through the court before Nadal could set up for the forehand. So Nadal was able to set up with forehands and hit forehands. And then add to all that, you've got a much better Nadal. His defense is better. He's got more. His defense is better anyway, but then he's got more time to get to the ball for the slower court, and then he's got time to set up with his forehands, and he's just playing at an extreme high level. Um, Great power game, dominating the rallies. Zverev doesn't really have much out of his serve. Zverev's forced into these long rallies. Can't take Nadal's forehand out of it, and then Nadal's just hammering the ball, getting him long rallies, but long rallies where it's Nadal dominating with the forehand and just by hammering the ball with huge power in those rallies and long rallies and dragging Zverev into it. So there's nothing Zverev, and then when Zverev does try to attack, because of the slower core, you need to hit it harder and harder, closer and closer to the lines. But the combination of the slower court and Nadal's defense on an amazing level, he can't really get it through. And then Nadal's even just turning defense into attack, asking Zverev to hit 3, 4 shots, and then always having an opportunity of time in the rallies to hit forehands and just dominate the rally. And Zverev's defense can't stand up to that. Zverev can't get the ball through the court fast enough, so Nadal can't hit a forehand. And when Zverev really tries to attack like he would in Madrid, it's not really threatening Nadal, so he has to hit it harder, closer to the line. Even then, Nadal's turning defense into offense and hitting forehands. So then, because he has to go harder and closer to the line, now there's a risk of errors, which he didn't have to do in Madrid because he was going through the ball court faster, and Nadal's defense wasn't as good anyway. So basically, the way the court was very different, and the way Nadal defended better, attacked better, didn't make many errors, served better, and was just no matter how many great shots Zverev hit, he was able to get them back, turn defense into offense. Any position to attack Nadal would. He would just be controlling these long rallies of his power, and Zverev's defense can't stand up to that. So that's where we get a straight sets victory for Nadal. Tsitsipas against Djokovic. The match was really a case of Tsitsipas wanting to having the power to get through the court with his forehand, sometimes his backhand, um, to get through Djokovic's defense, but Djokovic really struggling to hit power to get through Tsitsipas's defense, and Djokovic having to try drop shots, having to try to hit it as hard as he can, close to the line, and a risk of errors. Whereas Tsitsipas's normal, powerful game can get through the slower clay court and through Djokovic's defense, whereas Djokovic can't. So he's having to go close to the lines and he'd want to try drop shots, all these other things, not getting much out of his serves. So, but then the thing was, Djokovic had better defense and was more consistent in the rallies. So he made up for the power differential that Tsitsipas has time to set off the big forehand and has the power to get through Djokovic's defense, and Djokovic doesn't. So Djokovic needs to hit more shots, closer to the line, drop shots, all these other things outside of his game to do it. But if Tsitsipas could be consistent with the power, Djokovic wouldn't have a chance because both guys would just be consistently rallying. One guy would get the ball through the other guy's defense, through the slow court, and through the other guy's defense, the other guy wouldn't. But Djokovic was more consistent. Tsitsipas was trying to go for more, shorten the point, take risks. So when they were going in, he was overpowering Djokovic. When they weren't, there were errors and there was critical problems. And it just came down to that borderline where sometimes it was Djokovic just keeping the ball on the court, playing great defense, asking Tsitsipas one more shot, and then Tsitsipas not having the consistency to stand up for that, and Djokovic winning. But then when Tsitsipas's shots landing in, Tsitsipas has got the power to get through Djokovic's defense in a much easier way than Djokovic does to him. So then Tsitsipas is ahead. So one guy being more consistent, the other guy having more power to get through the court. And that's what made it so close, because when Tsitsipas's shots were landing in, he was the better player. When they weren't, it was Djokovic's, the fact that he had better defense and better consistency on the shot and better shot tolerance. And in the end, just by the slightest of margins, it was the consistency of Djokovic just keeping the ball on the court more than Tsitsipas. That even though he was overpowered, that differential in errors and consistency in the rallies is what won out. That if Tsitsipas could have kept the ball on the court more, then his shots would have been going through the defense of Djokovic more than vice versa. But that wasn't what happened. Uh, Tsitsipas wasn't consistent enough, so the fact that he can overpower Djokovic and get through the court in Djokovic's defense better than Djokovic can do to him, um, he needed to keep the ball on the court enough to do that, but he had too many errors. So in the end, Djokovic, even though he couldn't hit as many winners and couldn't get the ball through the court, his extra consistency and lower errors and better defense, asking Tsitsipas to hit more, made up for the fact that Tsitsipas can get the ball through the court and through his defense better than he could to Tsitsipas. So the consistency won out over power in this one. And then also the fact that like Tsitsipas is when Djokovic is hitting the ball and he struggles to get it through a clay court. Sometimes Tsitsipas's defense can be a bit slow, so he's not like a Nadal or a Djokovic type defense. So then, with him arriving, even with the ball traveling slower through the court, with Tsitsipas arriving a bit later to chase balls than what Djokovic would, then Djokovic didn't have to hit it as hard as he would to just say get through Nadal's defense. So he was sometimes having just enough pace to get through, due to the fact that Tsitsipas was a bit slow chasing the balls. And then the effect of the slowness and Djokovic's power getting through the court being a problem was less due to Tsitsipas arriving late at the ball. But it was mostly the fact that Tsitsipas could get the ball through his defense, through this court whenever he wanted. Djokovic couldn't. And if Tsitsipas could get the similar consistency, he would have overpowered him. But then Djokovic just said, I'm going to keep the ball on the court. I'm going to defend. I'm not going to make many errors. And I'm going to back that if all your shots are in, you've overpowered me too good. But I'm going to be more consistent. And by you using this power, you're going to have more errors. And the consistency did win out, but it was only just. If Tsitsipas could have been a bit more consistent, then he would have overpowered Djokovic. But he wasn't, so it was Djokovic's consistency and defense and Tsitsipas being too inconsistent, making too many errors that determined this one. So now I'll get on to the semi-finals. Like Nadal beat Opelka 6-4, 6-4. This one was really about Opelka. He can't really keep the ball on the court long enough, and he's too dependent on his serve. So Nadal got enough returns back. Did a couple of games with him getting enough returns back. Opelka had errors, and Nadal got the break. And one time I think it was a backhand winner, maybe it was a passing shot. And then another time he hit a great drop shot, but mostly it was just getting enough returns in play. Opelka can't rally with Nadal in any kind of way. So he has to go for a winner on every shot and through a slow clay court to have a realistic chance of a winner on almost every shot. You need to go as hard as you can right on the line. And the fact that he couldn't, because if he got a few shots back, he has no chance. So he's like, I have to end it, but it's not like a fast court. You just hammer it to the right or the left. Maybe they don't get it back. No, it's clay. So to get it past Nadal and guarantee you're going to win it, you need to hammer it almost full power right on the line. And if you don't do that, then you just get in rallies. And if Nadal hits forehands, you're 7 foot. You can barely move to the ball. So then that's the only option because it's clay. Because Nadal's going to have more time to get to balls. It's just hammer it as hard as you can on the line, and then say it's just too good and he won't be able to get to it on any surface. But he did hit some good, powerful shots, but then Nadal got too many of them back. So then, and then when those couple of games, Nadal got a decent amount of returns, and he just waited for a game where Opelka missed a whole lot of first serves. Then the errors came, and then one or two good shots from Nadal, and that's the break twice. Nadal did have one game where Opelka's power shots on the line all connected, but Nadal found enough good shots to get out of that. And Nadal didn't really go for much on his attacking game. He just said, get a high first serve percentage, get into rally where you're starting to rally ahead, move the guy around, and he can't be in that situation. So from a bad low percentage position, Opelka's going to have to go for it, and he's got no chance. And then there are errors there. And also, if Nadal's attacking on him, he can't play defense. He may not even get the ball over the court, even if he tries to defend. But since he can't defend, he's got to attack from a position he can't, and then there's errors. So Nadal did what he needed to do. Good first serve percentage, moved him around. Opelka couldn't play defense, couldn't attack from a defensive position, and then get enough returns back that when he misses a few first serves, get balls deep, and then he's trying to hit winners off deep balls, and then he gets the errors. And then one drop shot, and then another a great passing shot with those errors, gets the 2 breaks. Nadal does everything he needed to do, and he's into the final. And then Djokovic against Sonico. That was a lot tougher. Djokovic wins the first set 6-3, Sonico 7-6, Djokovic 6-2. Again, I mean, he's got Nadal coming up, so really he would have wanted to be more fresh and win it quite easily. But then it was a case where Sonico's attacking, shortening the points. Djokovic is getting the ball back, playing more consistent in the rallies. Sonico has more power. Djokovic has more consistency in the rallies and defense. And it was, again, a bit like the Tsitsipas match. Is defense or consistency going to win out, or is the attacking, shortening the point, taking risks going to win out? And in the end, it was the consistency. And Djokovic getting enough balls back, being in rallies long enough to not have errors, and Sonico having to take risks, having to go for too much, and getting a bit too many errors for him to overpower him. Again, if he would have got enough consistency, he would have overpowered him, but he's having to attack too much, too early, too close to the line, and too many errors, and Djokovic making him hit one more until there's an error, and Djokovic not giving him any errors and him forcing to hit it as hard as he can on the line, and then more errors and winners, I would say, and then Djokovic having way less errors, and then Djokovic, when he did hit a good shot, saying hit one more with the defense. So when you look at all that, it was the fact that when Sonico hit a good shots, he needed to hit another and went for too much. Just in general, he had to go for too close to the line and too many errors. But when his shots were landing in, he was overpowering Djokovic. But he wasn't able to do it enough. So, and when he did do it, like I said, Djokovic's defense made him hit 2 or 3 good shots, couldn't do it. And then other times, just the fact that Djokovic wasn't making any errors, and he was. But the times that he was on for small amounts of time, he did overpower him. You saw that with the second set tiebreaker, but the defense consistency of Djokovic wins this. So now we'll get on to the final of the Rome Masters, Djokovic and Nadal. Well, I would say this is the best situation for Nadal to beat Djokovic. Yeah, I would say it's the best possible situation. Yeah, sorry about that. Just something about the laptop and having a bit of a water there. But yeah, I would say the best situation. Djokovic is going to be exhausted, playing 2 matches in a day, and just battling and surviving in a third set twice. He really needed to beat Sonico in straight sets at least, even though he'd be exhausted. And then the fact that Nadal on the same day played 1 match, and it wasn't even one long match, it was 1 hour and a half match. And against Opelka, it's not physical in any way, there's not rallies. So Opelka's just serving and shortening the points. So Nadal barely has to get involved in rallies or exert himself physically. The points are all short, so even if it's 3 hours, it's a low energy match, but it's an hour and a half. And an hour and a half where all the points were ending in 1, 2, or 3 shots and didn't exert anything. So in terms of a match with long rallies, it was equivalent to like a 45-minute match. But he's got enough match time because he had that he was pushed against Zverev, had to play a high level against Shapovalov, even Sinner. So he's got the match. So he played in Madrid the previous week when Djokovic didn't. But right before, Djokovic has got hours the day before, and he doesn't. So Nadal, Djokovic on clay, you go for Nadal. But now it's Nadal, Djokovic on clay when Djokovic is exhausted. And there's a huge physical advantage for Nadal, the fact that he's played hours, whereas Nadal's had about the easiest physical match the day before you could hope for. So that advantage would even win Nadal on hard court grass anywhere, I'd say. But then the fact that he's also got the advantage they're playing on clay. So for me, this really shuts out Djokovic. And then knowing last time they were on clay at the French Open, what happened? Um, it was 6-love, 6-2, 7-5. But Djokovic had the day off. He didn't play two matches the day before. So it could be much worse than this one. So if Nadal loses, it'll be a shame because everything's set up. It's on clay. He's got an exhausted opponent. So he could have no more advantage in a match against Djokovic than this one. And then the fact that mentally he destroyed Djokovic the last time. And now he's playing a guy he destroyed who's going to be exhausted on clay. So, and then when we add to all of this, like the last time on clay, like I said, 6-love, 6-2, 7-5, French Open final last year for Nadal. Um, then the match before that they played on clay, 2019, last time here at Rome, Nadal was affected because earlier that year Djokovic destroyed him at the Australian Open. So just moving to clay maybe wasn't enough because mentally he's affected. But the difference of them on clay is so huge that Nadal came out despite being thrashed at the Australian Open, went to Rome final and won the first set 6-love. Then the second set he lost 6-4, but he was really mentally affected, I think, by the big loss at the Australian Open. He was the better players, winning more points. All these juicy break points all went to Djokovic. So Djokovic scrambled for a set where he was outplayed by being better under pressure because he had the mental edge from the Australian Open that year. But then as soon as Nadal said, I'm not going to think about this, I'm just going to play my game, it's back to 6-1 again. And that same first and third set, 6-love, 6-1, when Nadal was in a good mental space, we also saw another thrashing at the French Open. So we've seen a lot of sets where Djokovic has been destroyed on clay in their last two encounter. The one before that, Rome 2018, again straight sets to Nadal. Then 2017, Madrid, straight sets to Nadal, another beating. All of this, and now Djokovic is exhausted trying to beat Nadal. So really, it's just a disaster, a nightmare situation for Djokovic. And a wonderful situation for Nadal, best case and worst case, I would say. The big thing, if you look at the Tsitsipas-Djokovic match, Tsitsipas was overpowering Nadal, overpowering Djokovic. Tsitsipas with the slower clay court had time to set up on the forehand, could get it through Djokovic's defense whenever he wanted, right? Djokovic couldn't get it through his defense, so Djokovic just had to hope he's going to be the more consistent guy and just keep the ball in the court and hope Tsitsipas makes more errors and win by consistency, which he did do. But this is the same situation with Nadal forehand. Nadal's going to overpower him in the rallies the way Tsitsipas did, but Djokovic won't be able to just keep it on the court and beat Nadal consistency because Nadal will have Tsitsipas's power on the forehand and overpower Djokovic in the rallies the way Tsitsipas did. But if Djokovic tries to just keep it on the court, Nadal has the power of Tsitsipas and just as much consistency as Djokovic. So when you have that happening, you keep it on the court. You say the other guy's going to overpower me. I hope they'll miss more than they'll make it. But it's Nadal, one of the most consistent guys. So now he's got the power to overpower you that Tsitsipas had. but he won't have the problem of consistency where Djokovic keeps it on the court and he gets errors. So he'll match Djokovic with consistency, but he'll overpower him in the way that Tsitsipas did. So then the one thing Djokovic had to go for, keep it on the court, get errors, he won't get that because you get someone matching him with consistency. So there's no option to get errors and win that way, but then you're overpowered. So if Tsitsipas was just a bit more consistent, he wins by overpowering him. Nadal's going to be way more consistent. And the other thing Djokovic did is he has problems getting the ball through the clay court with the power, but he got a few more through this court because Tsitsipas is a bit slower on defense. And the balls that are just getting through the court enough, the combination of that and Tsitsipas being slow, but now Nadal's going to be faster and way better defense than Tsitsipas. So then Djokovic is going to have even more trouble getting the ball through the court and getting the ball through Nadal's defense. Whereas Nadal will get the ball through his defense in the way that Tsitsipas did, but can do it consistently. Because he'll be as consistent as Djokovic, but as powerful as Tsitsipas. So then that's a problem. And then Nadal wanting to battle in all these rallies on clay, and Djokovic being physically tired and not able to do it. And then what Djokovic likes to do on a hard court or grass court, have a better serve than Nadal. So start the point ahead by having a good first serve or second serve, so he's already in control inside the court, and just finishes it from inside the court through a fast court. Now on clay, his serves are coming back deep, and he's got to get in a 50-50 rally. And then on the return of serve on hard and grass court, he attacks Nadal's second serve, starts the rally ahead, and just is inside the court and doesn't relinquish. So 75% of the time, Djokovic starts the rally ahead and never gives it in. And the only time Nadal doesn't start behind is on his own first serve. So 75% of the time. But on clay, Djokovic's serving doesn't do anything. And Nadal's getting the ball deep, forcing him to rally and having to hit the ball with power from deep balls at the back of the court all the way through the court, not from inside the court, and having to hit it from back there through a clay court, through Nadal. Very difficult. And then on the return of serve, when he tries to attack Nadal's second serve, the clay slows it down, so then that doesn't have an impact, and Nadal can still get it deep and still make it a 50-50 rally. So this situation where Djokovic is starting 75% of the points ahead with his first serve, second serve, and attacking Nadal's second serve, now they're all 50-50 rallies, and it's who can get the ball through a slow clay court and a great defender, because it's a slow clay court, hard to hit it through, and they're both great defenders. But then on the slow court, with the ball traveling slow, Nadal has time to set up and use all his power in the big swing and hammer a forehand, 1, 2, 3 forehands, till he gets it through Djokovic's defense. But Djokovic can't really get it through Nadal's defense, and then ends up having to hit the ball too hard, too close to the line, and make errors. If he doesn't get it through Nadal's defense, then Nadal turns defense into offense and hammers 1, 2, 3 forehands, and he's losing there as well. So then Djokovic can't have that happen, so he's going for it too hard, too close to the line. Now he's at risk of errors or trying drop shots, all these other things. Nadal's too good at running down the drop shots. So Djokovic can't play his normal game, be in rallies and control rallies. He's going to have to hit it as hard as he can, on the line, near the line, at risk, or drop shots. Because if not, he's not getting it through the defense, and Nadal's dominating the rallies with the forehand. And Djokovic can't even get the ball through the court to stop Nadal hitting forehands. So what happens when Djokovic is running around after Nadal's forehands and he's got no energy to do so? Well, that's a disaster. And then he's definitely having to hammer the ball on the lines, bail out of rallies, drop shots, and then that won't work either. So I really think like those are the tactics about all of this. But I really just think Nadal's going to win, and I think it's going to be straight sets. I think one of the set won't be close and the other will. Not sure which one. So you could see 6-3, 6-2, and then 7-5, 7-6. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was even 6-love, 6-2 or something like that. That could also happen. Just because Djokovic tired, he could have an awful performance, and Nadal could be completely on clay, and he could be the best for Nadal, the worst for Djokovic. But I'm going to say Djokovic is really going to want this, and he's going to be trying. And the challenge of beating Nadal on clay, right? Last match, an important tournament before the French, and he's going to be up for it. So he's not going to want to be humiliated again. And even though he's tired, he's going to try to put his best effort he physically has. And that's going to make one set close, about 7-5, 7-6, and the other set maybe you get to 6-3 or 6-2. But the fact of what's happened against Nadal lately on clay, which I've mentioned, their last match, the fact that two of the sets in Rome 2 years ago were beltings, the fact that he's tired, and if he can't beat Nadal on clay when he's at his physical best, to be this exhausted, and Nadal's the worst player you want to be tired because he's going to make you battle in rallies. And then Nadal on clay, you need to be physically at your absolute best to have a chance, but he's at his worst. So even though Djokovic is going to want this, he's not going to do better than straight sets. With one set a bit of a beating and the other set close just due to his will and not wanting to be embarrassed here. But Nadal's going to take it, I'll just say 7-5, 6-3, 7-5, 6-3, 7-5, 6-2, somewhere around that. But if it's a belting, I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm not predicting that. But the big thing of it is Djokovic's attacking return of serve's taken out of the match. His serve really is taken out of it. And then the fact that Nadal has time to set up, hit forehands, get through his defense, and Djokovic struggles to get through Nadal's defense. And then the top spin on clay is ideal for Nadal, so we get it more higher for Djokovic and cause him trouble there. But basically, yeah, for all those reasons, I'm saying it's straight sets to Nadal. So that's my video for today. Oh, one more thing I'll mention. One important thing about this thing is because when people talk about the GOAT debate, what do they say? They went. Some people who mention Djokovic, they say the head-to-head. Well, Nadal's now cut the head-to-head to Djokovic has won 2 more. If Nadal wins here, it's 1 more, and there's 1 more best of 3 set because in best of 5, Nadal's won 4 more. So this completely takes Djokovic's superior head-to-head out if Nadal wins here, and then also Djokovic has 1 more Masters 1,000. So then they'll be basically even on the head-to-head if Nadal wins. They'll be even on Masters 1,000. So this whole thing about weeks at number 1 for Djokovic, well, it won't translate into the head-to-head. It won't translate into more Masters 1,000. And then Nadal will be ahead on Grand Slams, probably 3 ahead after the French Open. So when Nadal's ahead in Grand Slams, you say it's not about what about weeks at number 1, not only about Grand Slams. Well, Masters 1,000, Djokovic doesn't make up for the Grand Slams because they're now tied. He's no longer ahead. And then the head-to-head for Djokovic won't be there anymore either, really. So then this is a case for head-to-head. Djokovic will either be 3 ahead or 1 ahead, depending on what happened. That's very important. And for Masters 1,000, Djokovic will either have 2 more than Nadal or they'll be tied. That's an important statistic in the GOAT debate, but I'm saying Nadal's going to get it. And that's my video for today. I'll be back for a review on Tuesday. And I'm really trying to get an interview for Roger Federer from Geneva before he plays his first match. So subscribe for that and be back for a potential interview with Roger Federer. I'm also trying to get Rafa. I won't Rafa for an interview. I won't get him in Rome, but I'll try to get him in the 2 weeks between Rome and the French Open for an interview. But Roger, I'm trying to get in the next couple of days before he plays his first match in Geneva. So be back, subscribe to have access to those interviews, and be back here on Tuesday for my review of this final. So subscribe, bell notification, thumbs up. Have a great day and be back for my next video, and you'll love your subscription. But bye for now, guys. Bye for now, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye.